Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run for the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as the next couple of days is fairly mundane, temperatures around average or slightly above average, and it will be fairly dry with the odd shower or thunderstorm around at times. However, as we head towards Thursday, Friday time, things are going to be getting a lot more lively. We're going to see a big plume of hot air come up from the south, and a few days ago we thought it could lead to a real hot spell, maybe even a very hot and dry spell or heat wave sort of conditions. Now the most likely scenario is quite hot conditions, but very lively in terms of rain and thunderstorm activity. Through Friday in the afternoon, we could see temperatures get to as high as 30 degrees in the southeast, something we haven't seen for a number of weeks, all the way back towards June time, where we last saw persistently hot weather. And through the evening on Friday, we could see some huge thunderstorms. The UKV run today really is showing some extremely lively conditions. Now, unfortunately, we are still sort of 3 or 4 days away, so most short-range, high-resolution models don't have Friday evening in the time frame yet, but it'll be very interesting in the next day or two when we're able to have a look at those shorter range models in more detail. So run through the UKV, so what that is showing, and then we'll go through the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the ensembles as we continue to see hotter weather through the second half of August, and many of the runs today showing a second spike in heat, perhaps even hotter, and maybe coinciding with some drier weather, perhaps early next week, so keep a good eye on that. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So to start on the live radar, you can see it's a fairly mundane day today. We've got a few heavy thundery showers breaking out near the Scottish borders, up towards Newcastle and southern central Scotland, and a few odd showers across Northern Ireland, but most areas are reasonably dry. Some pop-up clouds, so it's not stunning sunshine everywhere, but there should be quite a bit of sunshine around for quite a few. At 2 p.m, the temperatures are decent, again pretty much average for the time of year. In the east, we're seeing it maybe get slightly above average towards the 23 or 24 degree mark, which is pretty decent as we are starting to see the southerly wind arrive. You can see the hottest air, though, is still across parts of Spain and Portugal, so it'll be another couple of days, as I said, around Thursday, Friday, before that hot air comes our way. Most areas further northwards westwards are slightly cooler, more towards the high teens or 20 degrees, but remember we are right on the backside now of summer, last couple of weeks, so it does mean those average temperatures will be starting to drop quite quickly, and in about a month's time many of these areas are back down to the mid to low teens for their averages. So even days like this where it's sort of high teens touching 20 degrees, it is still pretty decent, and we should cherish them while we still have them coming our way. Now, if you go over to the UKV, we'll be able to see the latest from the precipitation and the temperature charts, and it is going to be getting a lot hotter, but also a lot more lively. Now, after you run through the rest of today, you see a few odd showers in places, a bit of cumulus cloud popping up, but most areas seeing sunnier spells. Through the evening, the showers should fade away, and as we head into tomorrow, it'll be another dry day for most, with again a few pop-up showers, but they actually look lighter and more scattered than they do today. So as I said, the rest of today and most of tomorrow looks fairly mundane for most. As we head into Thursday, things could start to become a little bit more interesting in the far southeast, southwest. For most areas, especially further eastwards, it's actually another quite mundane day. Very little precipitation around, but you can see across the southwest, rain is starting to move in. So through the evening of Thursday, we could start to see the risk of thunderstorms starting to break out across the far south, and perhaps across parts of the Republic of Ireland, some more persistent rainfall. As we head through Friday afternoon, there is the risk we could see some pop-up thunderstorms through the morning on the leading edge. Here, UKV does make a line of storms, but doesn't make them last too long through the morning before fizzling away. Through Friday afternoon, you can see a lot of high-level cloud as we are starting to see that real hot, humid air move in. It's going to feel very stuffy, like we're in the tropics by Friday afternoon. And areas in the sunshine in the east, you can see a pocket of sunshine towards Kent, London, Essex, East Anglia. These areas, we could see temperatures get up towards the 30-degree mark. But you see a big area of rain is moving in, and as this bumps into that very hot air, we could see some intense thunderstorms break out in its northern and eastern edge. Look at those little thunderstorm lines, extremely intense through Friday evening into Saturday. Could be some very lively light shows going on through the evening, and could be some real intense rainfall rates coming in bands as well. Could be really quite severe. Now luckily they do look like they will move through fairly quickly, not hanging around for more than a couple of hours. Should mean there could be some flooding, but we shouldn't be seeing any too much in terms of excess rainfall. If this does come off, I would expect a yellow thunderstorm warning issued, just looking at the severity of these rainfall rates, and eventually see the storms turn into generally a large area of heavy rain as they spread northwards and eastwards. But luckily, into Saturday morning, most of that rainfall is cleared, and Saturday will be another fairly pleasant day. Unfortunately, with those thunderstorms moving away, it actually pushes that hot, humid air away, so temperatures are a bit lower, still fairly warm, still in the mid-20s as we'll see in a minute, but just not quite as hot. And then as we head into Sunday, still UKV having some problems at the end of its runs. Again, another day, through Saturday evening into Sunday, another day where we could have some more scattered thunderstorms through the evening, but nothing too severe. As said though, as we head into early next week, we could see another peak in those upper air temperatures, and this peak actually is looking a little bit drier perhaps, so there could be some more hotter, sunnier weather as we do head there. The GFS today showing many consecutive days of 30 plus degrees in the southeast, but still being around a week away, we have to be very cautious, as it could do what the end of this week has done, where it converts from a hot, dry spell to more of a thundery sort of pattern. So we'll keep a very close eye on that. But you can see the first plume of very hot air spreading in will start at Wednesday evening. This is where the air mass starts to shift. You can see it starts to get into the low teens here. By Thursday afternoon, we're firmly around the 12 or 13 degree mark across the south coast, rising towards the mid-teens by Friday morning, and by Friday afternoon, we could see the upper air temperatures get as high as 17 or 18 degrees. Typically through the summer months, you can add about 15 degrees onto the raw 850 HPA temperatures to get the possible peak temperatures of the day. Now, unfortunately, in this sort of scenario, because there's a lot of high cloud around, and there's a lot of thunderstorms moving into the southwest, getting that 15 degree plus is only really possible in the far southeast, where we could just about get to 30 degrees. So if we did see this air mass hang around under higher pressure, we would be widely looking at mid to high 20s to low 30s here. But unfortunately, as there's a transient air mass now, that is less likely. As those thunderstorms move through, you can see still seeing some very hot air in the southeast. By Saturday night, the upper air temperatures could reach 20 degrees across the far southeast. So it's going to be a very hot and humid night. And you can see as we head into the Saturday and Sunday, it does start to turn a bit cooler as we do see a westerly flow move in temporarily, but another southerly wind is coming very quickly after that. You can see the dew points are very high for this hotter spell, especially through Friday evening. Dew points around the 20 or 21 degree mark through Friday evening, showing you the humidity in the air, the amount of energy available for thunderstorms with that. With a lot of water in the atmosphere, and of course it'll make it feel incredibly stuffy. So it is going to be very difficult sleeping through Friday night. Hopefully when those thunderstorms do arrive, it does alleviate that a little bit. But yeah, it's going to be really hot and humid for about 24 hours there through Thursday into Friday, before eventually getting swept away with some slightly cooler air moving in. Now if you look at the max temperatures, you can see by Tuesday afternoon we're seeing 22 to 24 degrees, so fairly warm the rest of the afternoon. Nothing crazy, but generally slightly above average. As we head into Wednesday, slightly higher, maybe widely 22 to 24, nudging 25 or 26 in the London area. Into Thursday, fairly similar, more widely though, 24 to 26, again could nudge the 26, 27, maybe 28 degree mark, and finally into Friday, could just about get up to 28, 29 or 30 degrees across the southeast. You see, just across the channel we're seeing 30 to 32, maybe 33 in northern France, not seeing that here of course, because we are seeing more cloud and more thundery activity, but those would be the potential temperatures if we did see this hang on for another couple of days. Unfortunately, it isn't. And finally into Saturday, you can see it's turned cooler, still some lingering warmth in the east, still see mid to high 20s, but more widely mid to low 20s, so slightly cooler air coming in, but we're seeing some humidity and some warmth still linger at the surface, meaning it will still be fairly decent through Saturday. So even though the temperatures most likely will be slightly higher on Friday, actually the best day for this warmer spell probably will be Saturday and maybe Sunday, where we do see some slightly drier air move in aloft, meaning less precipitation and less cloud. But as I said, there is the possibility that we do see a second batch of hot air beyond this. We'll see that on the GFS now. If we run through this, you can see the high pressure building in over the next 24 to 48 hours. Initially, southerly wind, very hot air moving in for Friday. but low pressure sweeping in, and that is pushing all that hot air away in the form of that big cold front with those intense thunderstorms along it. Beyond that, we do see a temporarily westerly flow through Saturday to Sunday, but by Sunday afternoon into the evening, we start to see a southerly wind re-emerge, and we see some very hot air arrive through early next week. Perhaps again the 20-degree isotherm getting in. But you can see here we're more under higher pressure, and this will mean it will be hot, but it will also be a lot drier. So it'll be a drier plume here. Still probably relatively humid, but less instability with the lower pressure, meaning we're gonna have less showers and storms, especially in the southeast corner. But beyond that, as we head through the middle of the week, we do start to see the pressure lower towards the end of next working week. So then we could see the risk of storms, but a good few days of very intense heat here before eventually things start to turn a bit more westerly, a bit more active as the jet stream gets going again. Now, if you run back and have a look at those upper air temperatures, you can see the hot plume in the next couple of days. The UKV actually has it slightly hotter than this. Again, that's the use of having higher resolution. We actually have some hotter air within this plume that the GFS doesn't quite make out because it is slightly low resolution. And as we head into Sunday into Monday, you can start to see that hot air arrive once again. Widely, the 15-degree isotherm gets in, and even the 20-degree isotherm moves into the southeast there for a number of days through to around Thursday, Friday before getting swept away. And with that, we could see some incredible levels of Cape. We can see at times there through central and eastern parts, very high levels of Cape during the afternoon, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe into Friday as well. So there is the risk, if that low pressure gets moving in, we could see some big thunderstorms within these plumes of hot air. If we do actually have a look at the 2 meter temperatures, I won't concentrate on this too much because it is fairly sceptical at this point, simply because we are still a number of days away and things could shift. We can see, for example, through Friday afternoon, the GFS really not showing anything hot at all, actually being a lot more progressive with those thunderstorms, giving temperatures only in the low 20s by the afternoon and early evening. Now, I would definitely go more along with the UKV, is high resolution, much more likely to distinguish the exact timings of the precipitation, the exact temperature of that upper air mass. So I would discount this a little bit, but we always have to keep that into account. At this short time frame, things can shift quite substantially. But if we do head to Sunday, you can start to see temperatures back into the low to mid 20s. By Monday, rising towards the higher 20s, maybe 28 degrees in London, and this is where the real hot air arrives. By Tuesday afternoon, getting up towards 30 degrees, and around 35 or 36 through parts of northern France there, up towards the southeast of England. Now, I have to stress that this is the midday and 6 p.m. observations, not 3 p.m, which would likely be slightly higher. Into Wednesday, temperatures once again 30 to maybe as high as 31 or 32 in the southeast, and we see that once again into Wednesday and Thursday, and finally into Friday, slowly getting swept away by showers and thunderstorms back into the mid-20s. So seeing a good 3 or 4 days of intense heat with temperatures getting up towards that 30 degree or higher, and of course, being a low resolution model, we're likely to see temperatures peak maybe a degree or two higher, so could see 33 or 34 degrees with this run. Again, this is not the most favoured scenario. This is the sort of best favoured overall pressure pattern, but this definitely does amp up those upper air temperatures a little bit more than some other runs do. Now, if you look at the GM, see how that does compare. If you start on the pressure, again, you can see high pressure building in, but low pressure sweeping in off the Atlantic for a couple of days, before eventually we see the southerly wind return with a strong southeasterly wind, with warm and dry conditions initially, before low pressure moves back in. Again, we look at the upper air temperatures, you can see another spurt of very hot air, arriving slightly later than the GFS. GFS had it arriving on Monday, Tuesday, here more towards Wednesday, Thursday time. Very hot conditions here from around Wednesday to Friday. Again, only lasting a few days, but would be extremely intense in this period. Temperatures, again, widely mid to high 20s. Again, locally could be slightly higher than that, but the thing we have to take into account is the risk of showers and storms within this. So yes, GM, very hot as well, but potentially bringing the risk of those showers and storms a little bit earlier, halting those temperatures a bit, but then it would give conditions likely that would mirror what we're seeing on Friday night with some big intense thunderstorms once again. So could be very lively again this time next week. If you look at the ECMWF, again high pressure building in, Low pressure sweeping through quickly, and then by next week, high pressure building in once again, especially for the southeast, before eventually low pressure tries to sweep away. But we actually start to see an extension of the Azores high there by day 10, so slightly different outcome than the other runs were showing. The upper temperatures, burst of heat towards the end of this working week, and then we see more heat arrive, but really only skirting the far southeast by next Tuesday, Wednesday. So you can see all three main models do get the very hot air back in once again next week, but only temporary. About 3 or 4 days from the GFS, 2 or 3 days from the GM, and about a day from the ECMWF, and really only clipping eastern areas. So still quite a lot to decipher. And of course, what is the exact pressure pattern? Are we going to be seeing low pressure move in? And could that bring more heavy thunderstorms in places? Now, if you finish by looking at the ensembles, you see this well reflected. Peak in upper air temperatures around Friday with some very high precipitation, indicating the risk of more very severe thunderstorms. A brief drop off through the weekend, but still above average, and then another peak in upper air temperatures. GFS has got a split though. The most common thought is it's going to go towards the low teens and then drop off towards average as we head towards the last sort of 5 or 6 days of August. But there are a few, including the operational run, that go very hot, very, very hot for this time of year, up towards the 20-degree isotherm, 10 to 12 degrees above average, before slowly dropping off. Precipitation, very uncertain. There are quite a few spikes, but nothing really converging on any one day, indicating it is very uncertain. Even runs that do show thunderstorms are showing it at different times and on different days. So we will have to see, but could be another very lively week next week, and we could see those temperatures rocket once again. The two mean temperatures are very up and down. You can see by Friday there is a lot of uncertainty. The GFS operational run is on the very low end for Friday, majority towards the 25-degree mark or slightly higher, and of course, when you take into account the lower resolution of these ensemble members, that is why the UKV is showing about 28 or 29 degrees in its peak. Temperatures actually get slightly higher over the weekend, even though we start to see the upper air temperatures drop off, and that's because there's still warm air around, but we're seeing less in terms of showers and storm activity and cloud, which actually negates some of that warmer air on Friday. So could still see mid-20s or even higher 20s through Saturday and Sunday, but we could see a real peak in upper air temperatures, but you see the spread from around Tuesday to Friday. Temperatures could be as high as the low 30s, but could be as low as the low 20s if we don't see that very hot air move in. We see more showers and storms. See, the dew points are very high, incredibly high through Friday up towards the high teens, and then again could be very high early next week, again making it feel very humid and very sticky. And finally, if we compare to the ECMWF, even more distinct with that second spike next week. So we can see a big rise in upper air temperatures, big thunderstorms Friday evening, small drop off, some not even dropping off that much, for another spike in upper air temperatures in around a week's time, this time next week. But some more big spikes appearing, so it could be another very big thundery plume appearing from the south. Some many more ensemble members getting toward the mid to the high teens, and again maybe 5 to 10 getting up towards the 20-degree point. So we've got some very lively weather coming up, not only towards the end of this working week, but perhaps again reoccurring next week with perhaps even a longer period of hot conditions, and it could be actually even hotter with the actual raw upper air temperatures, and it could be very lively as well. So please do stay safe. There is going to be considerable thunderstorm activity. Will it exactly play out as the latest UKV is showing, where it's very severe in the east? Probably not. It will be something like that, but probably not exactly like that. We will have to wait another day or two to have a look at these shorter range runs. But one thing we know for certain is it's going to be very hot and humid, and there's going to be some big thunderstorms around in some places. We just need to pinpoint those in the next couple of days and pinpoint exactly what could be occurring next week, as it's going to remain very lively. So if you do enjoy hot weather, humid weather, proper sticky tropical conditions, and also big severe thunderstorms, then it's looking prime conditions in the next week to 10 days. Hopefully in that period we do see some warmer, drier days. It's looking likely perhaps in the next couple of days it'll be fairly warm and dry, and through the weekend it's actually looking pretty decent as well. So if you do enjoy dry conditions but also generally warm conditions, then there should still be some decent days in between the very lively thundery activity. So we'll just have to see exactly how it does play out. Make sure you stay tuned, as I do suspect we will see, if this does play out like this, we will see some weather warnings issued, especially for thunderstorms, and generally warmer weather is likely as well. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.